Now this is Plus Ultra. Welcome everyone to Class 1A. My name is Dylan, bringing you another My Hero Academia Vigilantes chapter breakdown. This week we got chapter 101, Where I Should Be. Now this might be a shorter chapter, but there is a lot to unpack here. So let's just jump into it. We open the chapter with Aizawa and Koichi fighting off the Anons. After a bit of back and forth, Racer tells Koichi he doesn't belong here in this fight. He's needed elsewhere. And Koichi knows he needs to be at the hospital with Pop. And I love the little quip here from Aizawa talking to himself, saying he always has to be holding some kid's hand because he just can't help being a mentor to somebody. It just really shows how deep and caring Aizawa is at heart. And I don't know, I love it. I love these little moments with Aizawa. They're always so great. Koichi leaves for the hospital, and with all his power, his drive, his motivation, and his love for Pop, he goes plus ultra and flies. Now this is true hero status. I can't help but draw parallels to the main series with Deku, always talking about being a real hero and that it's you forget what your fear are doing and you're already leaping out the door to go save the day and you're not even thinking about it. And that is exactly what Koichi is doing here. He has thrown everything to the wayside. He's not even thinking about it. He is just acting. And I think that's what's really unlocking his quirk. And we get this badass line here where Koichi asks how many mid-air jumps was that? And he says, don't know, lost count. Oh, it's just so cool. It gives me shivers almost just reading it. I think this scene right here, this 2-page scene of him flying is a total payoff for the entire chapter. I know it was a bit of a shorter chapter, but this absolutely makes up for it. It's just so incredible. It's such a good panel, and I'm going to remember this after the series is done. It seems like every single week, Koichi is getting stronger and stronger, and I know that they're probably doing this because they want to level him up a little bit for the final fight of the series, but I just can't help but think if he keeps growing at this level and, 5-10 years down the line of where he keeps honing his ability, he is actually going to be a top hero. I'm really excited to see how they deal with this in the actual My Hero series because he's a really, really strong hero. He can't just exist in this series and, not exist anywhere unless, he dies, get his ability taken away, or they kind of ship him over to America or something. I'm probably thinking that. I think he's probably overseas because he would be so strong right now in the main series. He would be probably known as a top hero at this point. So I'm guessing he's probably in America, and I would just love to see what's going on there. What is it like for him in America as a top hero there? Or maybe he comes over to Japan and helps Deku out in the main series. I don't know what's going to happen there, but regardless, I really hope they deal with it in the main series because I want to see where Koichi is today in the series. Then Koichi arrives to the hospital and meets up with Soga, and we just see how dire things really are. The bomb villains are just rushing in the place and blowing up, taking out what I assume is just tons of civilians, damaging the hospital, putting everyone in danger. Soga's crew and the cops are holding the line, but things are looking pretty bad. And we see the chapter end with 2 o'clock showing up. We're so close from this showdown. I can't contain myself. It's so exciting and it's so hyped. The way that they're building this up is just, I talked about this the last time we went over Vigilantes chapter, but they're just slowly building up and we have this tension and they are not releasing it. It is insane how amazing the climax of the story has been. I am on the edge of my seat every 2 weeks. I can't believe it's every 2 weeks. I think that's the most stressful part about it is it's every 2 weeks and then we get really short chapters like this that keep drawing it longer and longer and longer. And I like it. I'm really hyped for it. I like the pacing of it, how it's so drawn out because I don't know. I'm excited every single other week whenever this comes out. Now, what I want to talk about is Koichi's new ability for his quirk of where he's able to fly. I want to break it down and really talk about it because I had some people kind of talk about, this might be a quirk evolution. This is part of the quirk evolution. He's finally awakened. And I don't know if it's quite that or not, so let's kind of break that apart and talk about it. Now, quirk evolution usually happens whenever there is an intense stress, it's a super intense moment and someone's quirk awakens and it takes it above and beyond to the next level. I don't think that's quite what Koichi has here. We saw, a couple chapters back, and when I say a couple, I mean tens of chapters back, when he was really young, he was able to just levitate and fly out of his crib essentially. And I don't think necessarily that this is a quirk awakening of his. I think that this power was just pushed down whenever he was really young, and he didn't have time to foster and grow this ability. And what we're seeing here isn't necessarily a quirk awakening as much as it is his natural ability is kind of just coming to light finally. He's finally thrown off like the mental shackles, so to speak, and this is his true ability. So quirk evolutions usually take the basic concept of a quirk and take it to the next level. So I do want to talk about what a quirk evolution or awakening for Koichi would be. And I imagine I guess the next logical conclusion of his quirk of what it would be is his blasts. I think that's where his real quirk awakening would happen. I imagine Koichi being able to just do like this huge like city level blast almost. So I think about Endeavor whenever he shoots his flames, like that kind of level, except with his like anti-gravity like repulsion blast from his hands. Because I think the biggest thing that Koichi is missing is his raw power. I think him getting this kind of ability would take him from being a amateur hero vigilante on the sideline to being a contender for a top hero. We know Koichi is really smart. We know he's very nimble with his ability, and he's incredibly adaptable. I think if he just had a little bit more raw power, he would be unstoppable. But I would love to hear what you all think in the comments about what you think Koichi's like quirk evolution would be, or is what we're seeing here kind of the peak of what his ability really is going to be? So I would love to hear your comments down below about that. And what an incredible journey this has been on the series so far. We're getting so close to the end, and I can't help but think back to the first couple chapters of, how slow it was kind of to start up and the real building that it took and ramping all the way into what it is today. And it's so incredible. I wish this was a weekly series just because it's so amazing. I want more of it. I want to see how this story is going to end. And obviously, I think we all know that this has to be animated at some point. It is too good to not be animated at some point. And with the series on how it's going, I can just imagine it is going to be next level. It is going to be so good, and people are actually going to enjoy the series and give it the reviews that it should be getting because it is massively underrated. I don't know why more people aren't reading Vigilantes. So if you're watching this and for some reason you're not reading Vigilantes, or maybe you know people that aren't reading it that like My Hero, you should tell them to read Vigilantes. It's so good, and it is going to end in such an incredible way, and I hope you all are really, really hyped for it. It has never been a better time to be a My Hero Academia fan. The manga is in a nutty spot right now. It is incredible. Vigilantes is shaping up to end perfectly, and season 5 of the anime is just amazing. All the fights in it are so, so, so good. And you know Class 1A has you covered on all of this because Class 1A is the place to be for a My Hero Academia fan. So like, subscribe, and I will see you all next class.